1.
Here.
Mr. Tipton, District 2.
Here.
Mr. Herron, District 3.
Here.
Mr. Bricky, District 4.
Here.
Mr. Mann, District 5.
Here.
Ms. Hood, District 6.
Here.
Ms. Addington at large.
Here.
Thank you, ma'am. And with that, we need to approve the agenda. Have a chance to look at anything we had to that, Ms. Norris.
I don't have anything.
With that, we will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented to you.
I make the motion. We approve it.
Okay, Ms. Hood made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Jeter, second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is to approve the minutes from October the 5th, 2022. If you had a chance to look at those, I hope you have. If so, we need a motion to approve the minutes as presented to you.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Mr. Tipton made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Harris, second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is citizen expression period. I'll read this and we'll go into that. Citizen expression period is a point of the meeting when anyone who wishes to address the board or staff may do so. If you wish to speak, please come to the podium, state your name, where you're from, and the county and or what organization you represent. The board may or may not respond to anything you say, but we will take everything into account when making future decisions. Please keep your comments concise and business-like. If no one has signed up to speak, has anyone signed up, Ms. Starnes?
They have not.
We have no particular order. We just ask that you take turns and speak your business. Any action will be considered after we close citizen expression period. And anyway, with that, anyone wishing to speak may come to the podium and do so.
Good morning. I'm Laura Bledsoe, and I'm from the Snowflake community. I'm here today to, again, talk about our road situation and what we're dealing with every day living on the dirt road. We've been attending road meetings for many, many years, me and my family, and I mean, when I was in high school in the 90s, we've been coming. We kind of gave up there for a little while, and then we started seeing some roads around us starting to get paved, so we thought it'd be a good idea to come back and see if we could get some stuff done.
Okay. That's Snowflake Road?
Snowflake Road,
Okay.
yes. So, all this stuff right here is all the 6-year plans from 2002, 3, 4, 6, and 8. And we've been on the 6-year road plan since 1997. Actually, I think there's one in here from 1997. And still yet we are still on dirt road. So I just want to know, like, what does a 6-year plan do? I mean, I'm not seeing anything come from it. Another issue is my driveway. My driveway, I can only use half of it because there's a drain tile, and not that it's full, but water never runs through it. It runs on top of the road between the road and my driveway and creates a huge ditch. And I'm talking, I could go up to here standing in it. So there's no way that my vehicles could get in there. And also, imagine what you're paying for vehicles right now. $30, $40, $50, $60, $70,000 right now, and we're riding on trash roads that are ruining our vehicles. And I mean, most of us work and we pay our taxes, so that it's just sad that we're still riding on roads that, we're riding on rock bed. We can't have nice things outside. You can't have outdoor furniture, any of that stuff. I mean, it's getting ruined. Our houses, we have to wash those yearly, to get the dust off of them. And we have a tourism spot on our road. We have the zoo, which that part is paved, but I'm telling you, what a beautiful ride it would be if they could come all the way from Snowflake into Nicholsville on a paved road. And it really wouldn't take that much. It's not that many miles out through there. We have buses that run that road. We have FedEx, UPS, and that's dangerous. My teenage daughters, I will not allow them to use the dirt part of the road at all. They are not allowed to go up through there because it's scary and it's dangerous. There's trees and bushes and limbs that are grown over. You can't see around some of the curves. But basically we're paying taxes like everybody else on our real estate and our property, and it's being ruined by a road. And the amount of money that we're paying for what we have and what we own, it's kind of, I mean, that's just ridiculous, honestly. I would hope that VDOT would give the board a little bit more, say-so in the roads around this county. I mean, there is resurfacing happening that don't need to happen, and I know that guy, you know, that's not on you guys, but I would just hope that VDOT would take that into consideration, that you guys know what's going on in this county. But I really would like to show I would like to be shown that that 6-year plan really works. And I appreciate you guys listening to me today.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Richard Gillenwater. I live on Ballfield Road. And I guess about all I want to do is say us too to Ms. Bledsoe's comments. But I did have a lot of things, but fortunately I met with the VDOT representatives who are here this morning. And they gave me their cards and asked me to email to them any of our concerns that we have. And one of the gentlemen's responsible for maintenance in Lee and Scott County, so I think he's a valuable contact. I wanted though to thank you all for the letter you did send to the governor, trying to get VDOT some assistance in funding. I haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything from that?
I haven't. You know, Mr. Arnold, have you heard anything back from that?
Not
particular-
anything additional. no.
Nothing additional.
They had passed it on to whoever that, what we talked about last meeting.
Yeah, last meeting I mentioned that I'd met with the director of VDOT in the Bristol district, and we had discussed the letter because it was sent back to our local Bristol district, the one that went to the governor. But that's all I've heard.
So, well, I'm still trying to prepare a letter to our local state representatives on this issue, and the things I'm trying to get from VDOT is some more facts and figures as it relates to roads in Scott County, which I found difficult to get locally. Maybe it's my inability, but you know, my concern is increased now because of the school bus accident on Twin Springs Road. Granted, that's a paved road, but it's a narrow road, and I'm really concerned that on a lot of our roads are dirt roads that are narrow. School buses run them twice a day. The school bus that runs ours, the driver said that's the most dangerous road he hauls children on. And I think the only way that we're going to get any response, monetarily anyway, is to come up with some data as it relates to unpaved roads or narrow roads and school buses. So that's my plan from now on, and hopefully I'll get enough information from the VDOT reps to proceed with that. But if you hear anything, Ms. Storms, from any of the people, I appreciate knowing so I can not make a fool of myself when I write the letter to the local representative.
You have presented yourself well in all these, doing this, and I commend you for it and being here. And there is folks here that we've, in a few minutes you'll hear from them. So they're listening to you too, the VDOT people. So you have been very good in what you're doing and presenting this. So we appreciate you coming.
Well, thank you.
All right. Anyone else wishing to speak?
I won't leave it just a minute, but I got one question. I'm Peggy Tice from Snowflake Road, and I'm back. But I want to ask one question. You know, you can get grants for everything. Can we get a grant to help with the road, to help VDOT?
I've never heard of that happening. The only thing I've ever, that's in the works is, believe it or not, it's the High Knob Road, that the federal dollars is going to go into some of that to pay part of that from the Wise County line down. When that's going to happen, I don't know, but there is federal dollars coming for that. So I've never, other than that, usually they don't. But any of the big projects, main roads and stuff, they do get federal dollars for it. As far as secondary roads and paving and stuff, they use, I haven't heard it, maybe Mr. Sumter and them could answer that. I've never heard that happen. Be good if they would.
Oh, yeah, well, put in for it if we can get it,
All right.
okay? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Amanda Martin. I'm with United Way of Southwest Virginia. I'm here with Christy Lesser, the Director of Development.
Hang on, you're on the agenda.
Oh, great. Well, then I'll just be
We'll
patient.
bring you right back.
I'll be patient.
I'm anxious to hear from you, so don't go. We have you on there.
I'll bug you.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak? All right. With that, we will close this expression period, and we don't have anything to vote on. But folks, these roads are a concern. It concerns me that people that are driving very expensive vehicles now, about all of them are, and the school buses, what they're having to go through. But hopefully some things will happen, and Mr. Sumter will be up here next to speak about some of this. And we've worked with him for a long time here. I've known him for a long time, and I think we'll be pleased. I think the county will be pleased with what will come out of all of this. So anyway, anybody got any comments here about our citizen expression period? The comments as made anyone?
I would just hope that Mr. Sumter will probably shed some light on the lady that spoke first. What was her name? Laura?
Yeah, let's play it, son.
The Snowflake Road. If it's on the 6-year plan or not, do you know?
It's not officially right now. What I've tried to, I've asked Ms. Starnes about it. The only thing that I can remember, I'm like Laura, I remember when I was small, I remember that road being paved little chunks at a time. It's been like 3 or 4 times, and I'm gonna say what's happened. It's been on the 6-year plan for those little short chunks. But right now, from what I understand, it's not on the 6-year plan officially. Now, we did vote on that 2 years ago. It should be one of the next ones to go on there because we all picked a road, 4 of them made it, so there should be 3 more. Right? Am I saying that right? So it should go up, but right now officially it's not on there. But that's just my opinion. What's happened over the years because there's a lot of roads. Ballfield Road is the same way. They pave like what, a half a mile maybe, and then the rest of it is, and they paved it where basically there's few houses. The most houses is on past where, so I don't know what. Of course, it's been like that for a while, but and I've heard situations of like Ballfield Road and maybe even Snowflake Road. The first part of it is paved, but in the system at Roanoke or Richmond or wherever, sometimes it shows those roads as being paved, but truly they're not. Only a portion of it is. So when they fill out a complaint, sometimes I've heard of some situations they'll get a phone call back saying, well, that road's paved, or a response back saying that road's paved. But of course, the local people would know that it's not, but I don't know what that does to that system that they're wanting them to use, whether that kicks that complaint out, that work order out, before it even gets to the locality. I don't know what's happening there, but I was I'm not going to say. No, I'm going to listen to what VDOT has to say, then we'll. But but officially right now it's not on the 6-year plan officially. So whenever the money, see now there's a lock on the money. They're not putting any more money toward that, as far as I know, toward the 6-year plan. So whenever that money is released, I think it was Darrell, I've heard him talk about that the two years ago was the first time that we've been able to add any roads pretty much to the 6-year plan. So it's been several years since any were even added because of freeze on the money. And that's where we're at now, again, a freeze on the money. So, but anyway, that's my basic understanding of it.
Anyone else? One thing that happened, you get a little tax rebate back from the state earlier, a month or so ago, and the money's good. Everybody can use a bit extra cash, but I was hoping some of that would go to things like this. You put all that money together, went a long ways before, as all over the state to have done something with that, but they gave it in a rebate, which that's a good thing, getting people to get money back in their pocket. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We can't control that. But anyway, anyone else before Mr. Sumter comes? Alan Sumter, you're up. Item number 7. Alan, he was here for a long time, and he moved up in the world, and I guess he moved up again. I guess that's an upward move, not a lateral move, but very good to work with. And I think give him some time that you will see some things that will. I mean, he knows how to get stuff done. I'm not saying the others don't, but Alan, I've worked with him a long time, and he can take the heat. I've seen him in a public hearing or two, and he takes the heat good too. So, but I don't want that to happen today. But welcome.
Mr. Chairman, it's good to be back with you all. I was, for everyone, I'm Alan Sumter. I'm the residency administrator in the Wise residency. I took over effective September the 10th. Mr. Paul Maddox, that was the residency administrator after I left, moved back toward the eastern part of the state, and I was asked if I would consider coming back, and so I said only if Mr. Mann is still on the board of supervisors.
I don't know about that.
So I did come back, and I'm give you a little background. Like Mr. Mann said, I was the residency administrator here in the Wise residency from 2010 to 2019. And then I've been in Abingdon the last 3 years and coming back, and I'm working on trying to get re-familiar with everything that's going on in the 4 counties that we cover. Finding a lot is going on, and we've had some faces that have changed as we were talking before the meeting. Jackie Christian, that was assistant, he's retired now, and so we've got some new faces, but I've got good help, and they're doing good on helping me get back going. So I'm going to try to not take too much time, but I've got several things, I guess, in this first meeting I just want to go over with you here coming back. Hopefully I won't be so long that we have to take an offering up after I'm done there. In general terms, just kind of want to mention to you, I handed out to you all before the meeting a report. We're going to try to work on getting that report. We was pushed for time this time to Ms. Starnes to get in your board packet prior to the meeting a little earlier on going into the future. But the intent of that report of what we're going to do is try to cover what we kind of have planned, the highlights of work coming up and then over like the next 3-month period. And just so you know, I'm going to try to come and visit with you in person quarterly. If that works, that's kind of what we did before. So about once a quarter, we'll try to come and visit with you. And then we've got some highlights on there of things that we have done. We've got a construction update. And then we will have a section on there where it says previous requests and comments. Those are things that we receive from you, either like in this meeting that we take it back and check into, or things that maybe you call us in the say you call our office or call some of us, say, hey, could you look at this road or whatever, and when we check into it, then we'll put that onto the report as to where our status is there. So I'm going to cover this kind of the report part of what we got going on. So as I started to come back and make the transition back, the letters that was sent in, that I was given copies of those that Ms. Starnes had sent to come back to Ms. Crowder, our district engineer. And I started working to get up to speed on a few things. And so one of the things that came up is that we have, as far as a maintenance need, is that we've got a need to try to do mowing a little bit more efficiently going forward, and we're going to work on that. At the time that the letters went in, we had worked on mowing the Twin Springs Road and had gotten that done kind of in a timely manner. The timing of the letter and that kind of conflict with each other, but it did get done. But as we move forward into next year, we're going to look at the cycles of the mowing when we do them. Try to get the second cycle was probably a little bit late this year, and try to get that going. One of the problems that we have to face and adjust with is that seems like all over we have a lot of Johnson grass on the secondary roads, and Johnson grass we can mow it and have it down like that today, and in 2 weeks, you know, it's up over top of our head and it's a little difficult to get out and mow it every time it grows up like that. So that causes some visibility issues, but we're going to look at, you know, key areas along routes like coming in now of the schools and things like that, try to adjust those intersections, and we'll try to do a little bit better job of keeping up with those in the future. We also have some storm debris that are along many of our roadways. Dead trees are in the ditches and shoulders and so forth that we've acquired a rental grapple truck, much like the loggers used. Pick it up, put it in the truck. We're going to mobilize one of those into Scott County here, and hopefully within the next month or so, and be a project that our crews work on through the winter on trying to clean up a lot of the secondary roads that got a lot of the debris. We've already been through on Route 23 and cleaned up the debris that was alongside the roadway on 23, and although it's not in your area, we've been working on the focus of that all the way to the Kentucky line through Wise, trying to get 23, which is much like we consider our interstate in this residency, and taking care of that. So you can kind of see on there the some of the requests and things that's been taken care of. Hopefully, Ms. Starnes, the tree that you talked to me about on Fairview been removed. It's not,
unless it's been the last 2 days.
Okay, we'll check into that.
It's marked with the orange X.
Okay, we've got work with trying to get the district tree crew to come in and do that. One other thing I'll just mention in general that I've seen this even when I've been in the last 3 years here in the Abingdon residency, and then coming back, is that we've seen our contractors be affected with like with resource issues, just like anyone else would. There's many of them, like tree crews, that are having difficulty getting, you know, workers to work for them, and so we can ask for multiple crews, and many times one crew is all that they can come up with, and so that spreads resources thin. We have, like in guardrail, we have a contractor that works for the entire Bristol district to do guardrail repairs, and he's been able to only come up with one crew. And so, and the interstate takes priority for the hits that are on the interstate. So if you see, I kind of use an analogy like I think probably many of us have been out like to restaurants and gone in, and service is slow because, you know, you'll see that there's only like one waiter or working, only one cook in the kitchen, and we like, you know, I want my food and somebody wait on me and my drink's not been refilled. Well, somewhat we're experiencing similar type of things with our work as well, like with our contract industry of trying to be able to supply us with all the resources that we need to be able to take care of things there. So we've been working, doing a lot of state force work doing a combination here in this residency of working to build the rural rustic projects that are there, and then try to take care of the maintenance as well. We've not had a hired equipment contract for a little while. We are working on getting a hired equipment contract back out to bid, and hopefully we're going to get some bidders on that to where we'll have additional resource that we can take our crews that have been having to do both maintenance and projects like the rural rustics and focus our state forest crews back on performing regular routine maintenance, the tree trimming, the pothole patching, the mowing, those types of things that needs to be done. And then we can use the hired equipment back to do like the project work. You have on there the status of the projects that that are there on the construction schedule for this year. We have about 5 rural rustics that we are working on that are active in the current funding program, and you can see the status of those. We're trying to work on getting some of those with a chip seal on them to get them through the winter, and then finish them up by paving them when summer and spring comes around next year. Now, we have 2 other projects that are there on that second sheet. That's the 619, the High Knob, that's under environmental review, and 689, the Ann Good Cooper Road, that we're working on doing our engineering work in order to get it to going next summer as well. So that is kind of the update of where we are on things. Now I will I'll kind of try to address the folks that have come up and some of their concerns and talk about that for just a minute. And Mr. Herron kind of did a good job kind of summarizing that too. Those 2 roads are not on the current 6-year plan, and I've, as said, I've been around for quite a while in VDOT and working, and so the way that things happened with the 6-year plan, there was a time back in, I guess, the mid 2000s or so, 2005, 2006. I don't know if many of you were on the board at that time or not, but there was once upon a time in about all counties, experienced this myself, is that folks would come in and they would say, well, we want on the 6-year plan, and so road would be put on the 6-year plan, and there would be put like $1,000 on it to say a $400,000 or $500,000 project to get it to show up on the plan, and the obviously not enough money to fund that. But like an example, I was once in Russell County and responsible for that area, and there was a time that every gravel road in Russell County was on the 6-year plan. And from what I understand, I think about the same situation was occurred that with previous boards, that about every road in Scott County was on the 6-year plan. Well, that really wasn't realistic, because you can't put a road on the 6-year plan and call it a 6-year plan and funding program whenever, you know, realistically, it's going to take millions and millions of dollars to build all those roads. That's not going to happen within 6 years. So our administration that was in office back in that time, around 2005, 2006, said, we want you to go and work with the boards and revise the 6-year plans to make them a realistic plan of what can be built within the funding that's being received at the time. So honestly, that resulted in a lot of roads being taken off the actual funding program of the 6-year plan. And so that's like what you're talking, Mr. Herron, probably occurred at that time with like Snowflake Road. I'm sure that that's probably what the case was. So, like in the previous time that I was here and we worked, and we had like a priority listing at the county level, like you've done, to put roads that are not on the plan, that whenever we get roads completed and the next cycle of funds come up, that we can pull off that and insert that on the 6-year plan and have a realistic time frame of being able to get those roads built in a period of time. So in other words, if a road is on the 6-year plan and it's put in, like we'll be coming in the spring to do another revision, we do it every year. And so the road that, if it's put on and it's in the out year of, say, 2000, I guess it'll be for 29, I guess, at that point, will be the year that we'll be adding to, is that when 2029 comes, that we're realistically hoping with the funds that we're projected to get, that that road will be built that year. Whereas in the past, that road would have been on there and it'd been showing on there 2029, well 2029 would have come and there's still $1,000 on it, and you've got 20 other roads that are funded and there's no way, and so it just keeps floating back and back and back. So I'm glad that you have, because we did add several roads. If you remember, before I left, there was one year we added 8 roads to the 6-year plan because we revised estimates and so forth. We took that list way down the line, getting it complete. And so I remember, if I recall right, and working like Mr. Christian at the time, we were down to only a couple of roads left to add to the plan, I believe at that time, that were on the priority list. So as I understand it, what I guess I picked up is when you all have worked to identify additional roads to add to that going forward, that when we come in the spring and do the next update, then we can consider adding Snowflake, Ballfield, whatever is on your next in the line list to that update of the plan. And for those that came, that's in the audience, we have a 6-year plan public hearing that's held, where that I'd encourage you, it'll be advertised, that we come to the board to ask and make public during that period of time that your road be added to the plan, and then we'll work on getting it in at that time. So that's kind of how that works with that process. Does that, I know sometimes kind of like when you go to the doctor and you're in the doctor's office and he starts using big technical terms and you sit there, you know, it's like, I really don't understand what you're saying, but I've tried to simplify that as much as I can to that process. Does that sound, do y'all kind of, y'all there with me on that? Okay.
Mr. Sumter,
okay.
You've got here projects completed, and you've got Beeline Road, Route 753. And you've done a good job. It really looks nice. Mm-hmm. But that's a small section of Beeline Road. Mm-hmm. The major section, which is heavily traveled, that 753 is rarely traveled. Mm-hmm. But Beeline Road primarily is on 624. And it's not paved, but it's on the plan. I put it on it. Okay. But I got complaints from people about a very rural area road being paved. Well, it's got tar and gravel on it. It's Bunker Road, mm-hmm. and it has the same road number as Beeline, 624. And I had asked somebody before, did they make a mistake? And I went out there over the weekend. And part of that road is paved, and to my knowledge, Bunker Road has never been on any plan. And I don't know how that it got the tar and gravel on it, or why. If it was a mistake, did they mean to put part of it on Beeline Road, which is 624? But I've gotten calls about it, and
Was it
it makes me
previously-
shake my head. I don't understand
Was
it.
it previously tar and gravel?
No, Bunker Road.
Okay.
My family owns property out in there. We have cabins. There are a lot of cabins out there. And it's very much a recreational area where people, have cabins. There are a few people who live on that road, but not many. That road is not really traveled very much.
Well, real quick, let me ask, are you all aware of,
Paul, last year, he wanted us to find a road to tar and chip to, a road that we had major issues with, drainage and washing out during storms, and he chose Bunker Road from.
okay, then that was like a pilot experiment to work on
It
correcting.
was from Berrytown
Yeah.
to the bridge.
Okay. So,
It's really strange.
we do.
It makes me shake my head.
Well, what we do occasionally is we will have like a road that, like, if, and we have a safety improvement type fund that's very limited money, but sometimes if we have a road that we're having to go out over and over and over like that we've got like a small little fund that we can go that actually saves us money for the maintenance in the long run. So that's probably what that was done.
Well, I've only gotten one call about Bunker Road, and it was my brother who hunts back there. And he called here 2 or 3 years ago and asked me if I could get some gravels put on it. And that's the only complaint. I've been on this board since 2020, and I haven't gotten any complaints on Bunker Road. It was very strange to me. It makes me shake my head, as it does. Even my brothers, they were amazed that their hunting road was being paved. And, there are so many needs in residential areas, and 624 is heavily traveled. Beeline Road is a heavily traveled road. And I've been trying ever since, even before I was elected to the board, to get Beeline Road paved, because I get more calls about Beeline Road than any road in District 6.
And it sounds like it's on the plan.
I put it on the plan, but a man who was here, he's not here today, I don't remember his name, but he told me it'd be years before that's paved.
Well, if it's on this plan, then like I said, if it's in that 6-year funding program, then the intent now is to get the road built during that 6-year period of time. So I'll take a look at that. I'll make a note and see where it stands in there. I'll talk with you there. I'm sure we'll talk at some point offline about some of that.
Do you see
okay?
any increase
Thank
in
you.
funding coming in the near future? Any increase for rural rustic?
I'm not aware of any. Again, you have to remember that the funds that come from that are controlled by formula.
Yep.
That comes by a formula that's established through the General Assembly.
Right.
And so, and then, it's based on gas tax and, the revenues that come in from that. So if people are buying more gas and diesel and buying more cars, that title taxes come into VDOT too, then that, equates out to more funds that's, comes to VDOT. So as far as any additional funds, I will get an update on what funds are available for the 6-year program prior to coming to you to update the plan in the spring. So that's when we will really know if there's been any increase of any funds.
Currently, that's around $1 billion a year for paved roads.
Yeah.
Mr. Sucker, a lot of people think the real estate taxes goes for roads, but they do not.
No, they don't. Our funding comes from, again, like I said, from fuel and title and those types of things. So whenever you go and buy your tags, or whenever you buy a new car and pay that title tax, a portion of that comes, and then going to the pump. So.
I don't have a question, but I've got a comment. It seems to me that a lot of the problems with roads small things like trees falling into the roads, potholes. It might have begun when the state, and this is higher up than you, started getting rid of our local VDOT departments and going to contractors. We were told probably 3 or 4 months ago, maybe during COVID, that contractors were coming back and saying, we can't do this for the cost. We're going to have to increase our prices. I would hope somebody in Richmond is keeping track of what they've done by doing away with our local VDOT places.
I'm a 28-year VDOT veteran, and I consider myself a lifelong VDOTer because my dad was a maintenance superintendent, like at the Fort Blackmore and Pattinsville type office over in Jonesville, where I grew up. And so I've been around it all my life, and I can remember when our area headquarters had as many as like 24 people. And now we have right around 10 to 12 people at an area headquarters is what our staffing level is. And so we work to supplement that with the contractors. It is a fine balance. It does cost, but that's the way that when everything's working good, that we get the work accomplished. So as I said, what we're hoping is that we can get some hired equipment contractor back to be able to utilize to work on some of the project type work that we've got that will free up those people at Fort Blackmore and Pattinsville to address more of the regular routine maintenance like you're talking about out there with that. And then also another thing that we're working on too is we've identified gone through and kind of scraped our budget and we've identified some money to put forth to some tree trimming beyond what most of the tree trimming is funded through the Bristol District Office and the Roadside Division it's called. And so we have identified some funding that we're going to try to supplement that and see and if the tree trimming contractor, and he seems to be able to add an additional crew on, and we're going through the winter try to get them in with a focus on working here in Scott County to try to address some of the tree trimming. I can tell you it's not going to address everything because we have a lot of needs. A lot of roads, as I call it, are tunneled in, and you see, but we're going to try to address some of the more critical areas, some of the higher traffic routes, and try to make a little bit of a difference on that in going through the winter and into the spring.
I think if the local board of supervisors had a little more say in what roads we're taking care of, we know these roads, but all we can do is call in complaints just like these people. That's the only recourse that we've got. And money from Richmond,
yeah. Danny,
you'll have to, when this government come in, how much money did he find in excess?
Well, it was $2 billion and it went up, then that's when you got that rebate back, we got back, you know.
$2 billion he found.
Well, actually, it did been more than that. And I don't know how you lose $2 billion, but. Anyway,
$2 billion when he went in, and these $500, $300, $500 rebates that we got, I'd rather give that up and have money that maybe we have some control of. We know these roads.
And the thing that, you realize that me standing here, I'm just have the ability to work with what funds that we're given here locally.
I hope everybody understands that. It's a funding thing. It's out of your control. It's just a funding thing. If it don't come down, you can't do it. So.
One final comment that I will make regarding on the Snowflake Road is the lady that spoke. We've taken note and we'll work on trying to check into the drainage problem that she's taken or talked about and see if there's something that we can do with that. When folks like the ones here today have come and have spoken, we may not be able to go in and pave the road tomorrow, but we will, if there are things that are mentioned like that, we will investigate them and try to see if the road, as it is, has any maintenance needs and try to work on taking care of those.
I think what they've run into there, where she's talking about, the road is down to the bedrock. There's no way unless you go in there and use a hammer or something to break that up, to put a drain tile in. Ponderosa Road is the same way.
Okay.
There is a stretch of Ponderosa Road that has no drain tiles, and it has a real steep grade, but it's the same way.
Okay, well, we'll check into it.
Yeah,
That, I promise you that. We'll check into it.
But you know, some of the day, and I know a lot of this goes higher. You know, it's going to have to start at Richmond. We're going to have more funds. So Mr. Kilgore, Mr. Piggin, you know, need to look into this and find out. But you know, I found what they called I found an article, and I've talked about this before. It was an article up in Northern Virginia that talked about the blueprint plan, and I wondered, what's the blueprint plan? So I looked that up through VDOT, and I actually found I don't know what you call it, I guess it's a letter, but of course it was in October 1st, 2009. Tim Kaine's name's on it. He was governor at the time. Yvonne Miller, Charles Colgan, Joe May, Lacey Putney, and it was brought by Pierce Homer. Some of those names might mean something to you, but of course we know who Tim Kaine was. But I'll read just a little bit of it. The vision outlined for VDOT in the comprehensive plan, which is the blueprint plan, and memorialized in Chapter 781, clearly articulates an agency whose mission and program are focused on safety, service, and preservation of our assets. VDOT, that while smaller, now that's what all this was about, was to make VDOT smaller. There was a big deficit, I think, that year or something. Will be necessary to be proportioned differently and providing services through partnership and collaboration, both externally and internally. And it goes on, but it actually breaks down. That's when we lost round about the time when they closed Nicholsville, when they closed Fort Blackmore, or the old Fort Blackmore. Of course, Gate City's now closed. And all these were on this comprehensive plan that when they started closing, and of course it was all over the state of Virginia, it wasn't just Scott County. But you know, there were several jobs. You know, I think just at Nicholsville there was like 11 or 12 men and women, I guess, that worked at Nicholsville. That's no longer there. Well, it's there, but nobody's there. And you know, that's in my opinion, that's where it started. I'm sure there's more recent updates to all that, but there has to be more funding that comes from Richmond to change these roads. So, you know, I guess everybody would like their road paved, but it's going to be a while for like Snowflake before theirs is going to be able to get paved. In that time, there's going to have to be some sort of maintenance schedule, and I don't know, maybe you already have that in place. I don't know for sure, but maybe have those roads maintained every year to where, you know, the ditches are clean. You know, one thing that I saw too, there's a buildup of excess gravel and mud and stuff on each side of the road. So, of course, what that does when the water gets there, it just cuts the road. There's nowhere for the water to go, even if the ditch is clean. So there's a lot of places like that. I was on the Gate Road the other day, which is in the Taylortown community, just below Nicholsville, and there are 2 ditches in that road. I know 2 young girls that go to Twin Springs there. They drive small Civic type vehicles. I don't see how they get over them. It would be better to get in the ditch and go around those places. I mean, it is, but a lot of them are down to the bedrock. You know, they're just, there's nothing really to work with. And I don't know what it takes you know, for that to change, to have some, I mean, you have to have something to work with before you can't just.
About to add stone to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way.
Yeah.
And you know, where there's no drain tiles, I noticed on the gate road, there's not personal property, but real estate property that is being destroyed because there's no water management. And all this water is going to one place, and I bet there's 100 tons of gravels in this pasture field on this guy's land that he won't be able to use. On Ponderosa Road, it's there's one place, I bet it's 300 yards long and 100 foot wide. Of course, it's a wooded area, but all that runoff coming from that gravel part of that road is going right there in that one spot. Who knows? There might be 1 million tons of gravel that is just, but it's ruined. I won't say ruined. You can always fix something, but the money that it would take that property owner to try to clean that up, if they wanted to, let's say, cut that timber and make pasture land out of that, it would cost a fortune to get that cleaned up, and it's destroying property. You know, there's a place, and Dwayne, is that his name? Dwayne, I can't think. No, for VDOT.
Oh,
Wade, yeah, Wade. You know, I showed him some places. There's a place on 71 just below J&P, and I was going to meet with Mr. Hartless there last week, but something come up, I couldn't. It's doing the same thing, but it's on 71. It's just below J&P where you turn off and go to Long Holler, but it's right on 71 where the runoff is just going in this guy's pasture field, and it's Wade knows about that, and I'm still going to get with Mr. Hartless. There's another one or two that I'd like to show him, but it all has to come from Richmond. It's got to make a change from Richmond. There's not enough funding, which that creates not enough manpower, and there's going to have to be some changes because our roads are getting to the point that they're going to be impassable, and if things go the way they are. But I'll hush.
Well, you know, as you said there, you know, you've got those concerns and everything, but I'm pledging to you that we're going to try with what we've got to prioritize and work and take care of things as best as we can. So,
real quickly, welcome back again, and so look forward to working with you, and appreciate your presentation today. And I'd just like to mention a couple of things.
Okay.
And I'd probably like to get with Wade or somebody so we can probably ride, you know, if we need to go look at this. 614 AP Carter Highway.
Okay.
You mentioned logs in the ditches. I think that were close to Barker's Chapel Church,
Okay.
where the utility people did some cutting there last year, I guess it was, and the wire right-of-ways. Some of those logs have rolled down into the ditches, so unless y'all remove them, they're still there.
Okay. We'll get
and I'll double check on that.
Okay.
Are they supposed to clean up after that? Same thing's happening on Route 72. They're cutting the power line right away. They're chipping some of it. The big stuff they're just leaving. It looks awful, but are they supposed to clean all that up?
Well, they've got a right of way too, so you know, that allows them to do within their right of way. Of course, you know, it shouldn't be, you know, on our right of way. You know, theirs and ours kind of, you know, butts each other at times, but. You know, if there's a problem with it rolling, you know, coming on.
But it looks bad. I mean, it's not a safety thing. It looks bad to do that, where they cut that stuff and just leave it. And like what Stephen said,
like the one at
just an eyesore.
Close to Barker's Chapel. I mean, it's that close to the road. I mean, so.
You noticed that?
Oh, yeah.
Up there where you live?
Yes.
They've done
all
that.
the way up through there.
Yeah.
And also, with the contract services using the bush hog, you know, they keep it down close to the ground, and so there's a lot of brush, whereas if they'd use a sickle mower, it would take care of a lot of issues, and Wade helped us out on a couple of drives, you know, a couple of roads that way. But 614 has a lot of issues up through there that way. And actually cars have hit some of the brush that's leaning over and actually, you know, damaged, you know, cars and so forth.
Okay.
And one last thing. You've heard this one before, and I guess we'll have an opportunity to bring it up whenever we bring up roads again. Bluebell Drive, East Carter's Valley. And you probably are familiar with that subdivision. It's paved. Quite frankly, I've seen a lot of roads that are much more narrow than that is. It's been, you know, recently done. Whereas the two vehicles cannot even pass or whatever. That's not the case with this Bluebell Drive. You can pass easily going up and down there. They have everything ditched out, and it's been that way for years. As in terms of adding that on, I guess, a plan, because, and y'all have looked at that years gone by. And I'm not sure
If
why.
it's, I can't remember, but if it's paved already, we won't put it, it can't go on the 6-year plan.
Right. It's
Yeah, it'd be something for, if we need to look at it from a maintenance need.
right. That's what. Yeah.
It's not in the system right now.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Okay, so that's be like a rural addition?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, rural addition. Okay.
yeah, okay.
And it's a very nice road. I'd just like for you to take a look at that when you can. And,
Joey, do we have an estimate or anything on it?
No, we don't have an estimate for it yet, but
Okay.
with rural addition would be the process.
Yeah.
And that would be with working with the county.
Right.
That.
But
I could
we could
imagine.
probably get a projected cost on it, somewhat, as to what it might cost to.
Well, I can imagine you'd have to do, you know, very much at all to really. I mean, they've really done a good job.
Okay,
It's just bad, you know, when the snow plows pass by there in the wintertime.
understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, does anyone else have anything to add to my list?
Appreciate your comment.
Okay,
Good having you back.
all right, it's good to be back. We'll look forward to working with you. We'll do what we can, try to work on some of these things. In 28 years, I've never found a magic wand yet, but we'll...
Still looking, though.
Yeah, still looking.
Yeah.
Next on, I think you have on agenda, Mr. Mullins is
Yes.
going to talk to you about some
Yep.
potential abandonments on some bridges that
Yep.
our bridge division is wanting us to consider. So he can come up if that's
Can.
okay. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next item is Joe Mullins here, he's from VDOT, and it's about a bridge abandonment on Gilmar Road, I think it's called. So anyway. How you been doing?
All right, good morning.
You heard a lot this morning, I guess.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I've been taking notes. So, and I think I passed it. I think I may have missed you on that, but that's what you've got in front of you, and Bill has it pulled up there as well. This is the bridge. We received this from our Structure and Bridge Division. Basically, as they're going through their plans, you know, they, like us, they have a certain budget that they have to work within, and maintenance of the existing structure and bridges. As they're looking at these, they're going through this list, and they have what's called the State of Good Repair program. So if you have bridges that are structurally deficient, that ties into a score. So they're looking at trying to update those and basically, you know, which structures need to be replaced or repaired. And so this one is one of those structures where they've looked at it and they are recommending it to be abandoned as to be replaced, because this is, I think it said it was 160 foot long by 18 foot wide structure. To reconstruct that, to build a new bridge would be extremely expensive. The road only carries about 37 vehicles per day. And it has access on both ends of this road to Route 71. So what the recommendation from Structure and Bridge, they would like and what they have asked us to approach the board about is actually abandoning that bridge and constructing like a T-turnaround or a cul-de-sac on this end of the bridge, this south end of the bridge here, and then turning the other end of the bridge into just a private entrance.
So you would fix a place to turn around?
Yeah. So at the end of, I believe it was the road's Gill and Water Group, it's Route 796. But we would construct a place to turn around at the end of the road and come back out. So it would effectively make it a dead end road, basically.
Would the bridge be removed or just left and the road closed?
That's something that, I'm not asking today for a definite, like, we still need to go through the public hearing process and everything, but what we're asking from the county is just a resolution of support to look at this and pursue it further. We could approach the property owners that are adjacent to there. I don't know if it's something that would be desirable to be left in place, or if they didn't, that's one of the things that I'll have to talk with our Structure Bridge folks about is, I don't know if they had intentions of leaving it there or taking it out. But if there's a preference one way or the other, we can talk through those, what the cost would be. Basically when they built the new road and everything, that meets the public benefit need. It would be extremely expensive to replace that structure, which is why they're asking us to consider abandoning it, so that those funds can be used for other more needed bridge projects.
Will we automatically have a public hearing on it? I rode out there the other day, and this is showing me a different view. The only house that's occupied is the one with the red top out through there on that road. And they might be the only ones that, this red one out here I think is mainly abandoned. There's no other houses on that road. And I thought they would have to go into the house from that Gill and Water Road. I think that's what it's called. I didn't know they had an access from the Nicholsville Road over there, but
yeah,
they might need to have a say,
Well, we wouldn't be abandoning the entire route. It would only be the section where the bridge is. So it would be from that point up. But yeah, we would be holding a public hearing for abandonment of that portion of 796.
Okay. And what was the reasoning for it?
Just the cost for replacement. If they were to try to replace this structure, it would be a very, very large investment for a road that only has 37 vehicles a day and has access on both sides of that bridge.
Is that the only way that they'd have to completely replace the bridge, or is no?
Yeah, it's at a structural rate. I think it was like 4s across the board. Those are basically very poor condition. I think the bridge load rating right now is 13 tons, so it's already posted. And once it gets in that condition, it starts hitting our dashboards as far as state of good repair.
So if you abandoned the bridge, then it would still belong to you guys?
No, if we abandoned the right of way in the bridge, it would.
The right of way, okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
And we would abandon the road. It wouldn't be a VDOT maintained structure.
Imagine you'd leave it there if it was in poor condition.
And that's where I would envision. I think it would be ideal to remove it, but in some cases we have had private property owners who have asked that those bridges be, they would then end up assuming ownership and responsibility for it, but that's something that we would want to discuss with the adjacent property owners.
The rest of the road would still be in VDOT maintenance, so.
Yeah.
The age of it's 89 years. That's getting close to 100 years old.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it is a very old bridge. So.
I drove it yesterday and I said, I'm surprised it's in good shape as it is to be that old, but it's definitely been there a long time.
Well built.
Well built, I can do that.
Does VDOT own enough of right-of-way to bridge to create a cul-de-sac, or we have to buy land?
We would have to approach the property owner about that to see if that's something they'd be willing to donate or something. And that's where I said, all I'm asking today is whether to pursue it further, if the board's in agreement with the best course of action being to abandon the bridge, and then we will kind of work through the finer details of what needs to happen and actually hold a public hearing later.
But you need a resolution from us first.
Just for support, yes.
We'll probably need to formulate the resolution and look at it in December, I think. So that's the way we need to pursue it.
Okay.
And I looked at it yesterday, and I'm surprised, like Mr. Bricky said, that one house is there. It's just not. I'm surprised 37 vehicles use it. That kind of surprised me that many people would use it. Probably maybe sightseeing or something. It's a pretty drive.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
From that house on back west, on the creek side, there's a lot of farm equipment in there, and I'd be interested to know who owns that between the road and the creek, because I don't know how they would come in, but if it could become privately owned, they may want to keep that bridge, whoever owns that.
Yeah.
Lord Williams owns that.
Oh, does he own it?
And I believe he owns on both sides. That's where I said that would be something we probably want to talk with them about.
Okay. We will do that. We'll formulate a resolution, and we'll do it in our December meeting.
Okay. Very good.
Do we need to vote on that, Sally, to proceed with it, or with the resolution, or just wait to get the resolution and vote then? Okay.
All right.
All right, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is it too late for me to make a comment?
You most certainly may. If you come to the podium where everybody can hear you, be close to the...
Again, Richard Gillenwater. While I sit and listen to the excellent presentation for VDOT, as a user, what comes to mind is deja vu all over again. Same old, same old. The 6-year plan, as far as most people are concerned, are a political gerrymandering effort. Each of you have responsibilities to your district. We understand that, and that's where you hear from people. And so stuff gets on the plan. Most people think a 6-year plan is a joke. There's got to be a better way. And I don't know what that is. I know my experience in business is that we would have somebody appointed that would be responsible for looking at the big picture. And I don't know who that is in Scott County, and don't know what influence he or she may have in Scott County. But that's just sort of the way we feel. We sympathize with each of you because I know you're caught in the system also. We would, however, like to get copies of whatever VDOT provided to you. And I'm
You
sure
can have my copy. I'll get another copy if you're welcome to have it. You want the bridge thing too? I don't know. But you're welcome to it, sir.
Here, you can have this too. Give it around.
Thank you.
But give Mr. Sumter a chance. I've worked with him a long time before he left and came back. But give him a chance. I think that you'll be pleased. And like I said, they're limited. It's what they can do. But you will never work with anybody any better than Alan Sumter. So just give him a chance and see, and see what happens.
They have all given me their cards and wanted me to send them an email for specific things that we wanted, and we will do that. I guess our concern is it may be a process issue as much as it's an individual issue. But again, we appreciate everything you do, and we realize it's
well, you've heard here, I mean, it's not just your road.
I know, it's all roads.
One time it was said here, the most important road to use is the road you use. And I get that. It's like the roads I use, that's the most important roads to me. But as we sit on this board, you hear about, all the other roads in everybody's districts. And it's not just yours, I promise you. I drove that Gate Road one day and I could not believe the shape it was in. I just wanted to see it for myself. And so, anyway, it's an issue. We have over 250 miles of the roads you're talking about. So there's many of them. It's like that.
And we understand that. I understand there's issues more important than my road.
Well, no, there's not. This is the most important road, and I get it because I understand where you're coming from. But anyway, there's so many others to look at, and so unless at least you're coming here, you're concerned enough to do that, and we appreciate you coming.
I will say that one of the bigger maintenance problems they have is culverts and the stoppage of culverts.
Yep.
And this time of year, the ditches get full of leaves wash down and they plug the culverts.
Yeah.
That's a maintenance issue which I plan to address with them. But again, thank you for
I appreciate you
time.
coming. Next item is Amanda Martin from United Way, so you may come now. Took a little longer than I thought to get you back up here, but we got you back.
That's okay. Thank you guys so much for having me, Chairman, and Ms. Starnes, thank you for putting me on the agenda. I know you said that, but do you guys mind if I pass out these little packets to you? Okay.
I certainly can.
Right. Just this will just help you so you understand what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
The way of a man and his coffee, so. All right, and like I mentioned before, my name is Amanda Martin. I am a development coordinator at United Way of Southwest Virginia. I'm here with Christy Lester. She is our director of development. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen about United Way of Southwest Virginia and what we're doing in Scott County. I did give you guys a flyer that's in front of you that looks like this. This is just a generalization of our service areas and the counties that we serve in dark blue. Also gives you a glimpse of our cradle to career approach with the end in mind, focusing on that career in our workforce. That is our ultimate goal. And we start at early childhood and we work our way, whether that's through early childhood initiatives or in our schools, we have programs that benefit that cause, and so that end result making a more sustainable workforce and careers for our kids here in Southwest Virginia. I also gave you a handout behind that is the Scott County specifically programs that we have here. Those are all the way in our schools and our Head Start programs, all the initiatives that we have to create that and to have that end goal in mind. And so it's really important for us to get in front of our county governments because you all are doing the work every day. And we have very similar goals. It just looks a little differently because we also all want to create more sustainable counties in Southwest Virginia, specifically for you all in Scott County. And so I am here today to propose that United Way of Southwest Virginia would be able to do what we call a workplace campaign with the government offices. That is where we invite anyone in y'all's offices to be a part of our mission. And I've attached just an example of what our typical traditional pledge form looks like that we pass out in our workforces. And I do want to mention that every cent that we raise in our workplace campaign and in our fundraising stays here in Southwest Virginia. Not a penny of it goes outside of the area. And then specifically for you all, because your heart and soul and all your dedication is here in Scott County, we also allow that you can allocate any of those funds to stay specifically here in Scott County to enrich your own communities. So I want to make sure you knew that. And then also that we have a local board that makes all of our decisions. That's just we have a bunch of people in our workforce that are on our board and in our government and just local people in our areas that are also making these decisions. So it's not somebody outside of the area that's going to say, well, we think that this would be great for your area, and they have no clue. So we make sure that everything stays local. And so I've been talking to Ms. Starnes about if you guys would be interested in allowing your offices and your divisions, your staff to participate and be a part of our mission. She can get me those numbers. So if you would just let her know your thoughts on if you would allow us to maybe even talk with your staff or just simply send out more information to them so that they could be a part of this as well, we would be more than happy to.
All right.
Do you guys have any questions? Or if you do, I'll also left my business card. If it's more of a hefty question that you want to ask me, then you can always reach out to me there.
All right. Any comments or questions for Ms. Martin? Good presentation.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is the animal-friendly license plate funds. Ms. Starnes.
On your tablet, you have the information that we've received. I believe it's $60. Let me just verify that. Yes, $60 is what is available from the Department of Motor Vehicles Animal Friendly License Plate Fund this year. In the past, that's always been donated to the Scott County Humane Society, so we just need approval to do that this year as well, if that's what you choose to do with the $60.
We have a motion to designate these funds to the Humane Society, $60. Ms. Acton made the motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Hood second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is authorization for a public hearing in December for the fiscal year 2023 budget. To amend it, so we do have to have a public hearing on it. Do we have a motion to advertise for this public hearing?
So moved.
Mr. Jeter made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bricky second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is to ratify the Robinson Farmer Cox engagement letter. Hope you had a chance to look at that. They're doing work for the county, and Ms. Starnes, if you would.
The letter is on your tablet. They are already in the process of working on this for us. The fee could be up to $12,000. We have a new GASB 87 requirement this for fiscal year 22, and we reached out to a couple of CPA firms about doing this work for us. And we did get a response back from Robinson, Farmer, and Cox to do the work at an hourly rate. They will review all of our leases, and we'll land where we land on the cost, but their estimate is $12,000 or less, depending on the number. Where you set the $10,000 limit last meeting, that's going to help reduce our fee, because they won't be looking at every lease. It'll just be those over $10,000.
Where does $12,000 come from?
It'll be in the budget amendment that you have the public hearing on in December.
All right. Do we have a motion to do this engagement letter?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bricky made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Tipton second.
Jeter.
Cheater.
I tell you what, my ears are pretty good. It sounded like. Mr. Jeter. All right. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is bookkeeping. Ms. Vickers.
Please appropriate $2,100 to Animal Control Special Services 35100-3170 for monies received and deposited at the Treasurer's Office, and appropriate $5,923.91 to Sheriff Vehicle Replacement 31200-8001 for reimbursement received and deposited. And that's all of the appropriations.
Did we have a motion to do the appropriations as described by Ms. Vickers?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Tipton made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Herron second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And grants.
And please accept Commonwealth Attorney's DCJS Virginia Sexual and Domestic Violence Victim Fund Continuation FY23 Grant 496559.
All right, we have a motion on accepting the grants as described.
So moved.
Mr. Jeter made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bricky second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, Ms. Dana, on appointments on Social Services Board.
You have one appointment to make to the Social Services Board. Cindy Coates has served her 2-term limit, so she will not be eligible to serve again. You did not receive any applicants.
Well, do we have any nominations for the Social Services Board? I had reached out to some people and did not hear back. And If anyone that you know might want to serve on this, it's very, very, very important.
Could Ms. Hood be on that board? If I recommended her.
I don't think so, because he's not, because you're the board rep.
Right.
Probably can't have two of you on it. I don't know that for sure, but that'd be my guess. That
We can table this till December, and then if you want to research that and
yeah, sure.
see, that's all right, and just kick it and find out. So we'll table that until the December meeting. Next item is county attorney items, Ms. Gabriel.
I don't have anything to do. I'm happy to answer questions.
Excuse me. Any comments or questions for our attorney? Next item is our county administrator item, claim to be the first.
You have your green sheet in your packets. General fund balance as of today after claims is $3,101,157. Your comparison chart shows we're down about $2 million from this time last year. That would be mostly because of tax tickets being delayed on the mailing this year because of the reassessment. We don't have the money coming in at this point in time that we did last year. As far as claims, we had early sets that totaled $170,794.46. A couple of those that made up a larger total this time was waste management, $43,772, and Magic City Auto, which was a Durango for the sheriff's office, $33,552. Current claims total $264,608.05. Gates City Volunteer Fire Department, Nicholsville Volunteer Fire Department, and Scott County Life Saving Crew asked for the remainder of their balance for fiscal year 23. So those are some larger amounts that make up that total. So total claims that need to be approved is $435,402.51.
One thing that I'm surprised about is how much that the $3,101,000 we have without the taxes being collected yet. I thought that's pretty good considering the taxes haven't started coming in yet. So.
We have had some tax payments coming in. People are coming in and paying without receiving their bill yet.
Okay.
So some of that money, it has went up probably about $500,000 since last week because we were down in the $2 million range earlier last week.
So bill's supposed to go out this week.
They should be received any time now.
Any comments or questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve the pay the bills.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Tipton made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Atkins, second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Starnes.
Under miscellaneous, we have the Thanksgiving holiday coming up, November 23rd. We're usually open 8 to 12. I wanted to ask for consideration of giving that extra 4 hours as holiday pay, and the office is being closed the whole day on November 23rd. We've done that a couple times in the past, but I always like to ask for permission if it's something that you wish to do.
All right. When I worked for the state, we did that, and usually working a half a day is pretty non-productive, and so I don't have an issue with it. I think it's a good idea to help the employees, to give them an extra day for Thanksgiving. So we entertain a motion to allow that to happen. Do we have a motion? All right. Mr. Jeter made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Ms. Hood, second. Any discussion? All right, vote saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So that's good. Glad
Thank
did
you.
that.
I'm sure the employees will appreciate that. And also, I just wanted to mention the Collins Bridge dedication in Dungannon will be held on November 19th at 10:30 a.m. If any of you would be able to attend that, we would appreciate it. And I also wanted to mention on the United Way campaign, just if it's your desire to let the employees take a look at that and see if they wish to be a part of the United Way campaign. I wanted your blessing before.
Okay. So you want to vote on that?
Yeah, or just the majority, just your thoughts.
Let's vote on it.
Yeah.
That way it'll correct any misunderstanding on it. Do we have a motion to do that, to allow the employees to be a part of the United Way campaign?
I'll make the motion.
All right, Mr. Terry made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bricky, second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Have they ever been in our budget?
Not that I recall since I've been here. And they've not done a work, they've not asked
They
to
never
do
sent a
a,
request or anything? I was, I can't hear.
not that I recall, but I could be incorrect. And for the past 6 years, they've not done a workplace campaign. So that, I guess their development department may be something that's working on that more frequently since they've got a department now.
It's a good deal.
So that's all I have.
On that bridge dedication, the families set a couple of dates, and we ran with that on the 19th. That's the day of the Santa train. It's a big deal in Dungannon, and so we set it at 10:30 so people can come and be a part of that. And I had known Jack Collins. I've never not known him. I lived in Dungannon most of my life, and his 3 sons grew up with him. And so this is with his military background, his background as being mayor and town council there. He was a big part of that community for a long time. So this is a very honorable thing we're doing to honor that man, especially with his World War II service. He's one of the greatest, those in that greatest generation. So if you can come be a part of that, you know, it'll be a good celebration to dedicate that bridge. So.
Have the American Legion involved in any way with that?
I don't know.
I'm not the commander, so I haven't heard. So.
We haven't in the past, no.
Well,
if you want to invite them, I mean, I don't think it would be I think be very appropriate.
We've actually done the bridge dedications before.
Yeah.
Through the wire.
Sure, if they want to come, I mean, I think the family would really appreciate them coming. So, most certainly could. All right. We have a presentation this morning from a tourism director, Ms. Pam Cox, if you would now. Pam, it's been requested we take about a 10-minute break. Call the meeting back to order. Next item is our tourism director, Ms. Pam Cox. So, Ms. Pam.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Not today, no.
Turn me back on.
That's what you want.
Go ahead, you're on the podium.
I'm on the podium.
Yeah, you're on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so it's Thanksgiving time, so it's time to say thank you for letting me be here, and I'm very thankful to get to be your tourism director for these last few years and maybe for a little while longer. So thank you, and so I'll go ahead with my report, and I think I told you.
Throw it at Bill.
Okay. Remember last time I talked to you about doing, using CrowdRiff, the local hood on Virginia tourism, and we've continued to do that. And these are Google stories that stay on Virginia tourism website, and then they translate and they go on over to the Scott County Explorer ScottCountyVA.org. And we have gotten some great feedback from that. We've had 132,143,000 Google impressions. And the story that we did on Bark Camp Lake was by far the most well received. We went with, this year, we did with the DMO grant that I got, we did stay a week, stay a week, a month, a lifetime. We did a digital campaign, and we used streaming, programming, as well as social media platforms, Facebook, Google, and YouTube. And
We used, we got some wonderful data from Spectrum and the streaming overview, so they provided some really in-depth information. So as you can see, we reached 506 impressions. So that means we reached that many people, and we had a 98.17% completion rate. So that means that everybody watched it all the way through, with the exception of less than 1% of the viewers. And they would show us which of the commercials that we were running did the best, and as you can see, they're about neck and neck. So it also gave us a great breakdown as to the areas where they were viewed the most. And the area that came up with the greatest views was the Wake Forest, Durham, Kernersville, Winston-Salem area. And that's right there on down, you all know where that area is. It's right before you get to Greensboro. So, and most of what they saw was, they watched it during Spectrum News and ESPN. Kathy McClellan, who, do you all know Kathy McClellan? She was my algebra teacher at DB. But I saw her out in the parking lot one day, and she said that her son, who lives in Raleigh, a lot of his friends saw the commercials for Scott County, and they said, "Is that your Scott County?" And he said yes, and he was very proud to say that it was his. The social media records are just as good. The impressions that we had from the Google and the YouTube campaign was 1,512,083. And this also breaks down and shows you what markets were viewed the most. We use both display and digital ads, and it'll show you whether your display ads showed up the most or your video. The Facebook campaigns reached 339,146 people. And the best thing about this is that we had some great clicks to our landing page on our website. All of these took people to the landing site on the web page, and that's what you want them to do. You want them to go on and look into your website and see all of the other things that you can do in Scott County. So we also built a special page, a special landing page for this campaign. So this was by far one of the, I guess, best campaigns that we've done, that we've been able to see some real statistics so that we can do some benchmarking on and know where our market is, and know, where people are really interested in coming to this area. The Northern Virginia area still stays very popular for us. I mean, that's an easy drive, and I still get a lot of calls from that area about the Devil's Bathtub. And if you will add those impressions up, we had a grand total of 2,195,878 people who saw information, who saw something about Scott County during this 3-month campaign. It was a 3-month campaign. We are still running a fall campaign. We did run a fall campaign with the Leaves, a fall drive campaign just on Facebook. And that finished the end of October. So I don't have all of the figures. I don't have the report on that because it just finished. But the next time that I do a report, I will have that. This was a really active season for ribbon cuttings again. A lot of you were able to go to, well, Danny came to the ribbon cutting at Close Quarters Airbnb. This is a building that the McMurrays have transformed in downtown Gate City. And Danny, you were there. I mean, it is
I was impressed.
amazing what they have done in a space. I don't know, it's long and thin.
Was it 10 feet wide, maybe?
I don't know if it was even, yeah, maybe 10 to 12 feet wide.
Yeah.
And it's very kind of, it has an industrial vibe to it, and it's just right there next to the building that he purchased there on the corner of Jackson Street. And some of you all may know that that building, the other building, was purchased by someone else who kind of did a little bit of destructive stuff to it, but it's since been cleaned up, and I think Mr. McMurray has taken back over the ownership of it. And when we were at this ribbon cutting, the town manager told me that he only had two vacant buildings still up for lease in downtown Gate City, so that's pretty amazing. Chris's store has been purchased. There is a gentleman from Prosperity, South Carolina, who is into, that's what he does historic preservation. And I'm not exactly sure what he intends to do, but initially he had purchased property off of Starnes Bluff Road for to do an Airbnb. Excuse me. And then he came into the town and saw Chris's store. And they've been doing some checking and everything, and I haven't talked to him in a little while, but hopefully we'll start to see some progress on that. I think, Ms. Hood, you went to the My Lady's Table ribbon cutting, and she has a really, really good idea there. If you've ever had a child get married and you kind of want to save a little bit of money on the things, and you have enough time, you can gather up things throughout the year. But she has everything that you need there, and you just go in. She's at the Pioneer Center. You make an appointment, and you go in and you talk about what you want your thing to be, and she helps you get all of that together. Now, the only thing about it is that she doesn't come to your house and put it up, but she boxes it all up, and then you go home and you put it together. It was really very nice, and I know Derek is going to talk a little bit about this also, but thanks to Mr. Dingus, Mr. Bill Dingus here, there's a new paved walkway around the baseball field at Keith Memorial Park. So this was a Trails grant offered by DCR, and Mr. Dingus applied, and he was the first to actually finish the project. From this pot of money, you finished the project really ahead of time, didn't you? And so they had a ribbon cutting, and the seniors were there, and this now gives access to handicapped access all the way around that park. And Joe Mead's family was on hand for the ribbon cutting. Mr. Heron was there also. And, you know, it's just nice to see projects like this being done. And, you know, if you watch for those grants, there's a lot of things that you can do with, you know, even just small amounts of money. You don't have to have $2 million or $3 million to make improvements. Events, I will tell you that I would have to say that from my perspective, everything was back to normal this year. Gate City did a back to school bash for the kids, and all of the merchants in downtown Gate City contributed. I mean, Pals was there, and those kids came back with backpacks full of supplies to go to school. It was really, really a good thing for the kids, and it was very well attended, very well organized, and just a great thing. Duffield Days was back, and probably one of my favorite photos that I have ever taken in my entire life. And a lot of times when you're standing there taking photos, you don't know what you've taken until you get home and you look at them. And it was this little girls in the car going, and it was like, let me fix my crown. And the young lady at the top, I can remember, I went back through all of my old photos, and I have a photo of her as a young child in a similar pageant. And of course, the Jericho Shriners, I don't know how many photos I have of them. So it's nice to see these young kids and how they've grown up and everything. There wasn't that many people in the parade, but they had a huge number of vendors down there, and things for the kids to do. They had a log stacking competition. I guess that's what it was, wasn't it? Was it a log stack? They asked me if I wanted to try it out, and I was like, I don't think so. Have you ever seen me drive a car? Anyway, okay, go ahead to the next one. And Gate City, along with the United Pentecostal Church of Gate City Frontier, United Pentecostal Church, and I'm pretty sure that Delegate Kilgore and Todd Pillion donated to sponsor this concert. It was called Rise Up, and it featured a Christian music group called Unspoken. The Pentecostal Church, all of these were brilliant, talented musicians. I had never really listened or heard Christian music, but they are phenomenal musicians, and they didn't have a great attendance there, which, it's kind of sad because they really missed seeing a great performance that evening. Papa Joe Smitty Mountain Music Fest, they had a good turnout this year. They had if you want to just click on the lady, they had a lot of the dancers from, you can just click for just a minute, and the dancers from Carter Folk. There were 2 or 3 of them who brought their own dancing boards for the dance for Papa Joe Smitty this year, so that they could clock and turn that off. And then that's Eric McMurray and his band. They're really pretty good. That's the band, Chris Rose band from UVA-Wise. So we've already started working. You can turn that off. We've already started working on the Papa Joe Smitty for next year, and with the Smitty family has a renewed interest in making sure that this goes forward, because the proceeds from this go to benefit scholarships to the Mountain Empire School of Music, Mountain School of Music, and I think it's mainly for Scott County students. And they're trying to find similar needs to give money to at UVA-Wise. The Scott County Chamber Picnic was back on, and that was the best crowd I have ever seen at a chamber picnic. They had some great door prizes, and the food was wonderful, and it was just nice to see people back and mingling with each other and sitting down and enjoying it. And the town of Gate City did a second Harvest Moon celebration that was on September the 25th. If you all remember, that day started out pretty drizzly and it was kind of slow, but in the evening, in the afternoon, it picked up and they had a good turnout for the merchants and everything down there. And then that evening, the Tri-Cities Jazz Orchestra performed, and the Tri-Cities Jazz Orchestra has asked every year to come and perform in downtown Gate City. They love coming to downtown Gate City. Bushmill Days was back, but unfortunately, if you all remember, the weather was bad and it rained, and they ended up canceling it, but they still did the grinding. And Mr. Broadwater, Glenn Broadwater, standing there on the right-hand side, is is the president of the National Ruritans. And as you can, and if you live in the area and if you've seen him drive around, he has a placard on his car that even designates him as the national president. But he got some really good press, if you saw the paper, about Bushmill and the need for people to join words I can't say, whatever, right. Okay, to join, that I've never been able to say that. So to join and to be members, so he was real happy with that. Okay, Cloud Splitter came back and the Begleys were back again, working that event, and golly, they even had their favorite folklore hero was running through the park, that High Knob area that evening, so that was a little scary.
Yeah, my son, he helped in that.
Oh, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And,
okay.
he actually ran that a couple of years ago. Y'all probably don't remember me talking about it.
Yeah. That's a great event. If you can run and
It's
if you.
one of the toughest ones. It's very, and they have a lot of stream crossings too.
Yeah.
I think my son said he crossed over 100 stream crossings.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
I think the worst one of those endurance races is at Frozen Head State Park in Tennessee. And the one at Frozen Head State Park, he doesn't have any aid stations, nor does he have any directions for you to run. So you're kind of just left out there on your own, and Frozen Head State Park is haunted.
And that's Cloud Splitter 100. That's 100 miles. That's the longest one. That's the one he ran in.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
King Alley-Wing, they had that, they didn't do it this last weekend, but the weekend before, and they had a great group. I mean, downtown was packed this year. So they continue, to do things, and the extension office, 4-H extension office, I don't know if you ever see any of the things that I post that they offer, but they offer some really interesting classes. And I went to this one, and that's Jill Sossman, and she showed us how to make an old-fashioned stack cake. Well, I didn't even know that. I mean, it's one of those things that takes a tremendous amount of patience.
They're good.
They're good, yeah. And I really only went so I could eat some, but it was really good. It was really good. I thought we might get to make one ourselves, but no, it was too time consuming. Okay. Pungo Farms was back again this year, and they had a great year. They finished up this past weekend, and they're ready for some new things to go forth with next year. You'll see a lot of expansion.
On the previous slide, that's at the extension office?
No, they did that at the vocational tech office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We have some new businesses coming into town. A barber shop's going to open. Do you all remember Marcy Gore? And Marcy was the reporter from the Times News who used to come and cover. Her husband, Randy, is a police officer with Kingsport, and he is getting ready to retire, and he's opening a barber shop right there. He's in barber shop right now, and he's almost finished, so that's nice. And the Mexican place apparently is getting ready to reopen. El Ranchito is coming in. I mean, I had watched them work, but then I thought they'd just quit, so I guess they're getting ready to open up. I've noticed a lot of work being done on Gashie's Market, going out towards Daniel Boone. I've not stopped and asked them what they were doing. Wally's Gun Shop on Ludlow Gap Road has been sold, and there are people working in there. I've not stopped. believe it or not, I'm a little bit reluctant to stop and say, hey, what are you doing, you know? But just people think I'm being too nosy, but I'll probably stop soon. Upcoming,
And say, what are you doing?
so what are you doing? Yeah.
You can probably get by with it. We probably could, but you can do it about it.
What you doing? Upcoming events, going to have Veterans Day, so everything's gonna be back open. Christmas open house, lighting of the tunnel, and they're gonna run lighting of the tunnel this year, the week before Christmas. I guess Dungannon will have their Christmas parade.
On the 10th.
On the November?
December the 10th.
December the 10th, okay. I know Gate City's having theirs. Santa Train's back, so I guess Santa Train will run the same schedule. Go on. Communications, we are at, our Facebook is at 20,821, Instagram's at 2,635, and I'll talk to you a little bit about Instagram in just a minute. Newsletters, I've continued to send the newsletters up, and my open rate on those are almost sometimes at 30%, which is phenomenal, amazing, because most of them are only like about 10 or 12% that people open. So the publicity that we have received this year, free publicity, next one, Bill, please, is values $232,333. So next one. So I took a class, a free 8-week class, and it was on creating better digital marketing. And I took it through a group called SyncSpace, and they're out of Kingsport. It was free. I went to Bristol every Tuesday night for a couple of months. And I learned so many things that I didn't know. You know, you'd think as old as I am, and as long as I've been around, that I would know about things. And I mean, I know about things, but then I don't know how to do some of them. I don't know how to do a lot of the new things that they do on Instagram. But they taught us how to do those things. So you'll start seeing some reels on my Instagram page. If you saw one this past weekend, we went to play pickleball, my husband and I did, and so I made a reel and posted it on Instagram and on Facebook, and the young lady, Olivia, said that reels, that's what drives followers to your page on Instagram. Who knew? I didn't know that. So, and this was free, and they'll offer several programs, you know, throughout the year. So, and the last thing that I wanted to talk about is, if you want to go on to the next slide, the Virginia America Revolution 250. So we are to create our own local committee, and I have put down, we're having a public meeting here. I've put it out on Facebook. I've invited a lot of people on November 16th to check the interest and to recruit members. Lisa's helping me with the historic groups. You can get marketing funds. You can get VTC marketing funds. But now to get these VTC marketing funds, you have to be declared an official community. And that has to be, so that's a resolution passed by the Board of Supervisors. So unless we have this meeting next week to gauge interest and to form a committee, someone else is going to have to spearhead this. I will help with the marketing ends and getting the funds and everything like this. But this is something that runs from, 2023 to 2026 and beyond. So my husband is the president of the Daniel Boone Wilderness Trail Association, and I know that they have spoken with a counterpart, kind of a counterpart in Kentucky about this celebration, but I don't think they have anything officially planned or anything. But there will be funds available, and from what I read about the grant funding, there will even be some money for signage for this, so, which VTC does not give money for any signage, so that's a good thing. So I guess we'll just go along with this, and if we do get enough people, I'll come back next week, but there's a resolution that it's already done and everything, and you all just have to fill it in. So, any questions?
Good presentation.
Thank you.
Is there any way we can tell how much revenue is coming in based on tourism?
You know, we get a report from Virginia Tourism Corporation, and they tell us, you know, what they see that tourism brings in. And I mean, you know, it'll say it brings in, you know, like what, $2 million?
Yeah, it's some huge number.
It's some huge number, and it supports X number of jobs. I don't have any way myself to capture data. I don't have any way. I mean, you know, I can call individually, you know, all of the folks who have folks coming in and everything, but I don't have a mechanism to capture those dollars. I just go with what VTC tells us. But I mean, it shows an astronomical figure, like in you know, 2 million every year, and percentage changes and things like that. The number of folks it employs. So
Would the EDA have any further contacts? Would they be able to?
You know, I don't know. I don't know. There are things that you can do called geoframing and geotagging, where that we can tag the folks, we tag their phones, and we see where they come in from, and you can go and see where they go in and they purchase items. That's expensive. You know, it's another one of those things that cost money. So, you know, we don't have a visitor center. We are looking at, you know, doing a kiosk that hopefully will help us be able to track some people. But
and I think you just said it. I think the attraction and what you're able to show is those people coming in. And it would be nice if you were able to capture some sort of data, but it would be hard to do, I would imagine.
Well, I mean, you know, when I fill my grants out, I have to have some numbers. So I do call and I say, you know, how many people have you had this year? And a lot of them, you know, I'll call and ask individually. So.
Thank you, ma'am.
Maybe when you get your meal tax for the county, I do count the meal taxes from, you know, the cities, but that's it.
All right, thank you. So Derek France is here from Recreation.
Hard to follow that up. Pam always does a good job on her presentations. Mine's not quite as long or as detailed. I'll start off. I'll mention Keith Memorial Park. Really, she did a better job than I'll do as far as showing you what we did out there. But really, it was all Bill. That's Bill's to be committed for that out there. It definitely improved the safety and accessibility there for the ball fields at Keith Memorial Park. So again, that's a beautiful place. It's nice to have that in the community, and what Bill did just enhanced it out there. So really, thanks to Bill. I mean, that's Bill. So Dutchville Community Park, I'm working towards some USTA grant opportunities to repair the tennis courts there. We've had some issues with them since they've been built. We've repaired them before, once resurfaced them, so they do need some work again, but hopefully we can get some grant money to help do that. We just completed our Otis Road and State Farm Youth Volleyball League. We had about 100 kids participate this year. The last two seasons we've been canceled due to COVID. And so, like Pam said, now with basketball, tennis and golf, and now this, we're back to normal, and that's good. You know, I was happy to get back to kids we're happy to get back. There's some pictures of us at the church at Weber City, Rye Cove High School, Gatesy High School. That was our Halloween day. We let them dress up. The kids have a lot of fun with that. Coaches dress up, kids dress up. There's a team that did like 80s theme, looks pretty good. There's the Grinch on the left, that's Chris Carter, one of my coaches, and that's me on the right. I forgot to shave that day. So. The kids had a lot of fun with it.
I recognized you.
Yeah, some people say it's scarier without the mask on. I do want to thank Otis Roten, State Farm. He sponsors that volleyball league, has for the last 20, 30 years, so thank him. I also want to thank Scott County Schools and Weber City Baptist Church. Let us use their facilities for practices and games. We couldn't do it without them, so just it's a big community project to do something like this to hold that. So we did host the beginner pickleball class this past Saturday. Anna Walters, I want to thank her. She's with Pickleball USA out of Kingsport. She served as the instructor. We had a pretty good turnout. Had a good. We had done it before, tried to do a pickleball class. Didn't have a good turnout. This one we had a really good turnout. Still going to kind of reach out more, gauge interest. It's pretty easy to convert an existing tennis court to a makeshift pickleball court. That's kind of my focus right now. You know, if it got big, it would be something maybe to pursue building a freestanding, but right now just trying to use our tennis courts to maybe be multi-purpose to try and host that for people and see what they think about it. So that's really on the rec side. Down the golf course side, revenue over the same period right now is up over 13.5% over last year, so we're still trending the right way there. Price increases across the board for golf equipment. That has helped pro shop sales, but really we're just seeing lots of increased play, members, new players, and also the room rentals. That's gotten really back to normal. October, every weekend was fully booked. I think November, there's like one weekend not booked yet, so we're back to normal with the room rentals, so that's helping all that. We recently hosted Attorney General Jason Miyares and former Governor George Allen. They did a stop on their Southwest Virginia bus tour. I think Mr. Brickey was there and Mr. Mann and Mr. Tipton. I think there was a few of the supervisors there. I really want to thank the park and golf course staff, the public works staff, and Scott's service. They all chipped in. So we're going to see some pictures here. Kind of updated, kind of brought some stuff back up to par that we need to work on up there at the golf course. So that previous year, that's the deck up there. We'd stained it, but you know, it was just weathered and looking rough. And then the after picture, that's after some pressure washing. That's a product called Deck Correct. It's like a thick paint. Y'all probably seen it. It's like it has a texture to it. Really helped probably prolong us, give us a few extra years on that deck, so it looks a lot better. That's outside the building there. That's actually the mulch and the plants we're getting ready to put down, but you can see the difference in it. And then also there's going to be one here. There's the entrance. I'm a big first impressions guy. What you see first is what you remember, and so there's the after looks a lot better. So all those are things that need to be done, and through that we kind of got all that stuff done. So I want to thank everybody for chipping in on that. And really the last thing, I keep mentioning him, but I want to really thank Scott Gerald with the Extension Office. We've really been working close with him still. We recently completed a seeding project for the first time at the golf course. We've never overseeded there. Worked with him. I don't really want to call it overseeding. It's a very targeted overseeding project. Already seeing great results. We'll see the fruition of that in the spring. But just working with Scott, he's smart, he's sharp, he's a great guy to work with, and he's really helped us increase our quality of turf up there. And the people notice that. The public notices, the people that come there comment on that. So Scott's a great asset for not just us, but anybody in the county that needs any kind of agriculture or turf work. Scott's phenomenal. I've actually recommended him to some of the football team for their fields, and he's helped them. Scott's a great asset. So, and really that's it. I know it's kind of short and sweet as usual, but everything's going good. We're getting ready to hit our kind of slower, colder season where we do some maintenance projects on the course. You know, play is slowing down, but this week in the 70s, we were busy last week, and we'll be busy this week. So, things are going well though.
All right. Any questions or comments?
Thanks. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we're down to item 18, comments. Mr. Jeter.
I want to thank the board and the staff for all their good work. And ask Frida about the budget. How's the budget looking, Frida?
I'll give you a copy at the end of the meeting. We'll have our public hearing in December, but it's in the negative 182,000, I believe.
All right.
That's all I got.
Sorry. Mr. Tipton.
I don't have anything to add.
All right. Mr. Harris.
I've had several calls and conversations about, of course, our tax tickets have not come out yet. What's the, what was it? When
They
are
should
gonna
be
mailed?
any day. They are at the printers, and the printer mails those, and it's my understanding they have been mailed. So
Okay.
they should be received any day.
They're gonna be due when?
The 20th of November.
But the biggest thing is, you know, there's been several people that's already paid theirs that I've talked to. And they paid what they owed last year, so they're still gonna owe the, whatever theirs increased. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Are we gonna extend the day? Is there any way to do that?
No. By code of Virginia, you have to give 14 days notice, and they'll have that plus more.
I don't agree with it, but that's just whatever. No, I don't, you know. I don't know. I mean, if nobody has, I don't know how to fix it. You know, there's gonna be a lot of people have to come up with another $1,000, you know, and of course, I don't know. And then your personal property, that's gonna be, did we finally figure that at 60-some-odd% increase on our personal property, like our vehicles and stuff? Is that, did we ever come up with a final? But it's gonna go up quite a bit.
But that's across the nation.
Right.
Car values, that's nothing to do with the Board of Supervisors.
I understand that.
All right. Mr. Bricky.
I just want to brag on and thank all the people that do serve on our committees throughout the county. There's a lot of good people on those committees. And one of the hardest things to do for us is to find people to serve on committees that we need. I found out a few minutes ago, Selma would like to serve on social services. Had no idea. Social services this past week, I've called 3 or 4 or 5 people and talked to them, and it's just hard to find people. I wish that we had a way, Sally and Frida, Bill, to have a website where if somebody was willing to serve on any committee, or maybe I'd like to serve on this committee, that committee, or just a blanket, I'll serve, that they could, we could have a list of people that were willing to serve. It's hard to find people to serve on these committees. A lot of people that work can't because of the times, and but I'm sure there's a lot out there that would serve if they had a way to know. And I know it's in the paper a lot. We put advertisements in the paper, but sometimes people don't notice those. So it'd be handy if we could have a way to look at people that weren't interested.
We are redoing the website, and it will go live in January, and it'll have more features available it'll be more user-friendly for our citizens to go in and look at things that are available and open appointments and things like that. I think it'll be a great asset.
That'd be good.
Ms. Hood.
Well, last week I spent an enjoyable time in Duffield. I visited the Revita Recovery Center and got a lot of information about how they're helping people with the drug problems, and they're planning to come to our board next month to do a presentation. I think it'll be informative to everyone. And also, I had never been to the museum at the Interpretive Center, and I went through that last week, and it was such a joy. It was just me in there, and I felt like I was in the 1700s with the sights and sounds, and it was very enjoyable. Anyone who hasn't been there needs to check that out. And then, of course, you know, I get concerns all the time about paving and water needs. we have a serious water needs in Scott County. I mean, I'm having people, you know, like up in Cliff Mountain, more well problems. Springs are drying up from the drought that we had this past summer, and some of these are low-income people and just trying to, you know, find a situation where they can get water, because I saw on the news the other day that there was a city in Mississippi that was without water for a week, and they were all upset, and I thought, wow, you should have been on Black Gum Lane for 2.5 years. So we have a serious water supply problem in Scott County, and you know, our state elected people, I wish they could help us with our water needs and our paving needs. And that's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Addington?
I'd like to thank the staff and everything for, you know, all the hard work you guys put out that you guys do throughout the month. Had a couple of questions about the water on Hunters Valley. I sent Mr. Dishman an email asking him about that. I know they started, but I don't know that they've gotten very far, and I just wanted to get an update from him, but I haven't gotten anything back. And I guess that's it.
Thank you, ma'am. I want to thank the staff and putting this stuff together for us, and to thank all of you, and hope everyone has a very, very, very happy Thanksgiving. All right, we have one item to go into closed session. We need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Mr. Tippett made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Ricky, second. This board hereby enters into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711, being 8.3 real estate. All in favor, vote saying aye. Aye. Aye, opposed? So we will go into closed session, and